There are moments in spiritual work when the unseen world doesn't arrive gently. It rushes in all at once, full of presence, urgency, and emotion. In a group reading, that experience can become especially profound as multiple energies begin to move through the same space, each seeking to be recognized, heard, and understood. What may appear from the outside to be a single gathering of people can, in truth, feel like standing at the threshold of many souls all reaching forward at once. My most recent reading was a group session with approximately 10 people gathered together in a shared and sacred energy. From the moment the session began, the room carried a unique spiritual presence, as though each person had arrived not only with their own questions, hopes, and loved ones in spirit, but also with an unseen circle of energy surrounding them. As I held space for one individual and began to focus on the messages coming through for them, the spirit of another person stepped forward with such strength and urgency that its presence seemed to rise above the other energies in the room. It was as if that spirit was determined to be heard, pressing forward with an intensity that couldn't be ignored. In moments like these, the veil can feel especially thin, and the impressions, emotions, and messages that come through can begin to overlap in ways that challenge even the deepest level of discernment. In those sacred moments, I'm reminded that spirit does not always move in a neat or predictable way. Sometimes one soul comes through softly, while another arrives as a force that fills the entire space, making it difficult to immediately know which message belongs to which person attending the group reading. It requires me to slow down, quiet my mind, and return to my inner knowing so I can carefully separate what I'm sensing from what I'm feeling. I've learned that this work asks for more than just openness. It asks for trust, patience, surrender, and a willingness to let spirit unfold in its own way and in its own time. Even when the energies become intertwined, I trust that each message carries its own vibration and will ultimately find the soul it's meant for. Experiences like this continue to deepen my respect for the mystery of spirit and strengthen my understanding that true connection comes not through force, but through presence, intention, and the quiet listening of the heart. However, I have found that in a setting like this, it can often feel like a spiritual highway with energies and messages moving quickly and intensely from all directions. Spirits may come forward one after another, each carrying their own presence, urgency, and desire to connect with the loved one they have come for. Some bring only a brief impression, a simple sign, or a few words that are meant to offer comfort or validation. Others arrive with a much stronger presence, delivering messages that feel deeper, longer, and far more emotionally charged. In a group reading, this can create a powerful flow of spiritual communication where multiple spirits are seeking recognition at the same time. The challenge is not only in receiving what's coming through, but in slowing that energy down enough to clearly understand who each spirit belongs to and which person in the room is meant to receive the message. Even so, I believe each spirit comes with purpose, and every message, whether gentle and brief or strong and overwhelming, is offered out of love and a deep desire to be acknowledged by the person they are reaching for. Moreover, when that much spiritual energy is present in one space, I feel a deep responsibility to deliver each message with care, clarity, and respect. The intensity of that connection can be overwhelming at times because once I am fully attuned to spirit, I feel called to share everything that's coming through for the people gathered there. It's not simply a matter of hearing or sensing a message and then moving on, it becomes a powerful flow of communication that asks for my full presence, focus, and emotional energy. By the end of a group reading, I often feel completely drained, not because the experience is negative, but because the connection itself becomes so strong and consuming. Even when I begin to feel that the session is coming to an end, spirit does not always follow a clear stopping point. Just as I prepare to close, another spirit may step forward with one final message, sign, or a detail that feels important for their loved one to receive. Those moments remind me that spirit moves according to its own timing, not mine. What may seem like the end of the session from a human perspective can still feel like an open doorway in the spiritual sense. Because of that, I've learned to remain present and receptive until the energy naturally begins to settle, trusting that each additional message arrives for a reason and carries something meaningful for the person it's intended for. Now back to the reading itself. One particular spirit of a woman came through with remarkable strength and consistency. The presence of this spirit was impossible to ignore, and the messages delivered carried repeated points of validation for the loved one they were trying to reach. Even as I continued moving from one individual to another, offering messages from spirit to different people in the group, this spirit continued to step forward through me to this particular individual. Her energy remained constant, almost as though she was determined to make herself known and to ensure that every detail she wished to share was received with clarity and certainty. It became clear that her connection to her loved one in the room was especially strong, and that her desire to communicate reached beyond a brief moment of recognition. When I begin a reading, I make it very clear that the person receiving the message should not offer me any details beyond a simple yes or no. I don't want additional information because my purpose is to allow Spirit to speak as purely and directly as possible without influence from the person in front of me. A simple response is enough to confirm whether I'm connecting with the right individual and delivering the message to the person it's truly meant for. For me, this is an important part of the integrity of the reading because it helps validate that the information is coming from spirit and not from anything I've been told. So the next time you attend a reading, whether it's a private session meant just for you, a moment shared with someone you care about, or a group experience filled with collective energy, remember this: arrive with an open mind, an open heart, and a willingness to truly receive and allow your spirit to expand. A reading isn't just about the messages that come through or merely words or symbols. It's about the space you create for them, a conversation between realms. Your energy, your presence, and your readiness shape the clarity of what unfolds. Trust the process, honor the moment, and allow the insight to meet you exactly where you are. And when you leave, carry the message with intention. Reflect on it and let it guide you forward with purpose. And above all, trust what you feel. If this episode resonates with you, click like and subscribe.